is the Fade 5 Podcast with Brad Evans and Nate Lundy.
Place your bets, yes, jackwagons! Brad Big Noise episode joined by the good son, Nathaniel Lundy. 'Tis indeed the Fade 5 Podcast, and it's glorious college basketball season is here. Tips off tonight. A lot of not so exciting games, with a couple of marquee matchups on the docket. We're going to get to some of those here in a minute. Of course, we got Monday Night Football, Chargers and Jets action on the ice, and also the NBA. So with tickets in hand, let's hop aboard the Honk Honk Plus bus and hopefully coast off into the sunset on a winning plus money wager, plus 100 odds or greater. Lundy with the swath of sports to choose from. What are you dinging in tonight?
Let's talk about Zachary Wilson, Brad, shall we?
Yeah.
Maybe not where people think I am going to talk about Zachary Wilson. Give me the under on Zach Wilson interceptions at plus 120. You can snag those odds at either DK or BetMGM. Folks, here's why. He's only thrown one pick in the last 5 games. And in fact, over the course of the season, he's only thrown one interception at home, and that was in week 1 against Buffalo. That's it. For all of the slings and arrows, as Will would say, that Mr. Wilson has taken, he's taken care of the ball. He's not throwing picks. And oh, by the way, not exactly something the Chargers are known for. In 7 games this year, they only have 6 total. It's not like they're out there just stealing the ball away from a defensive back standpoint. So if you like the idea of Wilson actually just be smart, take care of the ball, dump it off to Breece Hall if you have to, whatever, plus 120, Brad, for him to put the goose egg up under the INT column of the box score.
Yeah, I could put a little biscuit into your basket with that under. I think that's an excellent call, Lundy. Way to zig while others are zagging on the guy that looks like a maitre d' at your local Outback Steakhouse. So well done on Zach Wilson. No INT. Sticking in that game. Let's crank up the juice, shall we? Donald Parham Jr., I think he's going to score a touchdown tonight. Plus 400. Oh, yeah. Let's work the shoulders and get seduced by that juice at BetMGM. Here's the reason why. He's 6'8". We're talking about the tip-off the college basketball season commencing tonight. He's like a power forward, typically in the end zone, butting up guys, high-pointing the football, and bringing it home for 6, which he has done 4 times already this year. In fact, of the 19 total targets that he has generated from Justin Herbert, 7 have been inside the red zone. So, Herbert is always looking for him, given that height and that skyscraper frame when in those situations. And you look at the New York Jets, they've allowed the most opponent tight ends this season, 5 in total. So pull it all together, plus 400, extraordinary value on Donald Parham Jr. to have an anytime touchdown or the prime time lights at BetMGM. With those tickets on the board, let's get after it with a mixed bag edition of the Fade 5.
Number 5.
All right, numero 5 on the countdown today. Let's get some action on the college hardwood. I think just about everybody is playing, it seems like. And again, there's a lot of craptastic matchups that are out there, but there are 2 signature games tonight being played in Sin City, so in a neutral court environment. And I'm going to slap together a little money line 2-leg parlay on that action. Give me the Oregon Ducks on the money line, and let's go with their Pac-12 compatriots and the USC Trojans to also score a win on the money line. Both those ends are plus 144. They're at DraftKings Sportsbook. It's all about the inside-outside game of Oregon with Dante and Cousinard. Should be a lethal duo to 1-2 punch. Bartholomew as well for Oregon. Shot over 35% from way downtown, and he is back with the Ducks. They're taking on the Georgia Bulldogs, a team a little bit in transition. Really kind of everybody is in this day and age of the transfer portal. Should have a strong backcourt at some point, but I don't know if they're going to come out and be smooth sailing immediately. You look at all the advanced analytics that are out there, the prognosticators like Evan Maya, 8-point win for Oregon. Haslametrics, 6-point win for Oregon. Bart Torvik, a 6-point win as well. The only site that has this within a bucket is KenPom, and that's probably why the line is set where it's at. KenPom suggesting just a 2-point victory for the Ducks. I think it's going to be by 5 or more in this game. It doesn't matter if it's 2, doesn't matter if it's 5, doesn't matter if it's 50. I just need to win. Meanwhile, with USC, they're taking on Kansas State, and you say, well, Brad, you're part of the Tang gang. I certainly was last year, but they're missing Naquan Tomlin, one of their premier postmen. He is out due to injury. A lot of turnover, of course, in that backcourt as well. And USC, folks, is ultra talented across the board. Their backcourt featuring Boogie Ellis. He's been there for a while. And a freshman sensation, I believe he's going to be a top 5 player in the country. And Isaiah Collier, that dynamic duo is going to be tough to stop. They have an elite defense like they have shown here last couple of seasons under Andy Enfield. They got experience, and 2, they have a ton of size at 6'11" and over 7 feet there in the interior with Morgan and the other player who I can't pronounce, and DJ Rodman, Dennis Rodman's kid, who's a transfer from Wazoo. So with that defense, with that experience, with that team-wide balance, I think SC is going to score the victory with relative ease against Kansas State. And if I had some huevos, I would just take them on the line and lay the 3. I think they're going to win by 5 or more. So to recap on this 2-legger opening night action on the college hardwood, both money lines, Oregon to win, USC to win. Both those occur plus 144 at DraftKings. Lundy, I know you know jack nor squat about either one of these schools, except maybe playing the history card. Fade or follow?
Okay. Folks, look, here's what you need to understand, okay? You know how when I give out hockey picks, which, by the way, are coming up in bonus time, you know how Brad just goes, yeah, whatever, Nate, that's your world. Go play. Yeah. Like, for about the first maybe 6-ish weeks of college basketball, I defer to that guy right there, to Brad. Because
you sure?
Because yes, I am. A, because I know your track record, but B, because I'm not paying attention yet. I'm not dialed in. You know how some people don't start watching the NBA till Christmas Day?
Yep.
Because of football and college football and all NFL, all of that, right? That's kind of me with college hoops. I'm not really paying attention until either A, we're getting closer to some of the holiday tournaments or conference play, or B, my wife is like punching me on the couch because we're watching a KU game. One of those 2 things has to be taking place for me to know. So, Brad, love it. Oregon, hate them. USC, hate them just as much. But hey, plus 144, sure. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and the Pac-12 Swan Song, I think both of these teams in the conference get off on the right foot.
Number 4.
All right, let's go to a sport that Lundy is actually following, and that is Monday Night Football in the National Football League. Numero cuatro here on the Fade 5. And yes, I cannot believe this is available plus money, and that is on Austin Eckler, the pride of Gunnison, Colorado, and Western State. Give me the over on 4.5 catches at plus 118. Available at FanDuel. You look at the New York Jets, they are numero uno in the NFL in pressure rate. So what is that going to do? It's going to put Justin Herbert under duress. And who is he going to go to for a safety valve? More than likely, it is going to be either to Keenan Allen over the short field or to the running back who can do it all, and Austin Eckler. You look at Eckler, a guy who's running 18.5 routes per game. He's catching only those 76.2% of the pass attempts coming off the hand of Justin Herbert. He is averaging 4 receptions per game. Now, he's only played in 4 games this season, and he's only been over this number 1 time, but the Jets are giving up 6.4 receptions per game to opposing running backs. A pair of guys have done this, Tony Pollard and DeAndre Swift, and I think Eckler is going to be the third to catch at least 5 balls, get given the high pressure rate and the extreme duress that Justin Herbert is going to be under. So Lundy, Austin Eckler over 4.5 receptions, plus money, plus 118 at FanDuel. Fade or follow.
Just because of the plus money, yeah. Although I do, I have some trust issues lately with Mr. Eckler. I'm just saying. I mean, the dude's got. I know it's only 4 games. He only got 2 touchdowns on the year, and that's normally where, for at least if you're a fantasy or a DFS player, that's where you find some value in Eckler because they find ways to get him involved in the red zone, and they're just not. They're just not doing it. So I get a little bit of trust issues, but I do agree from the pressure rate. You already brought it up, 6.43 catches per game right now to the running back position is what the Jets have allowed this season. So that shows that pressure, you're forced to use that safety valve. I think that's exactly what's going to happen with Herbert tonight. So we're going to look for 5. We may be sweating, but we're going to look for 5 because I like these plus odds over at FanDuel.
You know what? Crank to George Michael in the background. You gotta have faith, the faith, the faith.
Number 3.
All right, numero tres here on the Fade 5 countdown. It's all about Greg the Leg, who I think is going to boot a couple of field goals tonight. Give me the over on that 1.5 field goals made prop. Again, plus money yet again on the pod here at plus 120, available at BetMGM. 3 kickers have done this against the LA Chargers this season, who boast and not so loudly one of the worst passing defenses in the NFL. They are number 30 in EPA pass defense entering week number 9. You look at Greg Zuerlein, he has done this in 3 of his last 4 games, and in 3 straight games. He has split the uprights a couple of times. 17 of 18 on field goal attempts this season. That's 94.4%. Outstanding. The Jets are dead last in red zone TD only rate at 26.3%, which means when they get on the opponent's side of the field, typically drives bogged down. They don't splash 6. As a result, Greg Zuerlein trots off the sideline and gets an opportunity to split the uprights. I think it's going to happen 2-3 times a night. It's going to do it right down A Avenue, and we're going to be counting our winnings in the end. So Greg the Leg Zuerlein, give me the over. 1.5 field goals made, plus 120 at BetMGM. Lundy, fade or follow.
I will follow. Loving all the kicker props. Remember, we made you some money last week.
We did. You made people even more when you said, just don't listen to Evans. Shut him up and parlay him and count all the $100 bills, and you got it right.
Yep. Well, I don't know about $100 bills. Might have been counting rolls of quarters and headed to the laundromat. But I like this one with Zuerlein quite a bit, actually. Play the over here. Take it on the plus money, especially. And if you're seeing that at BetMGM, the reason I'm saying you want to be able to jump on that from a plus money standpoint is, as an example, over at Caesars right now, it's actually minus 101 for the exact same bet. So we're talking about a good, 21 cents worth of difference right there in the odds. So make sure you're jumping on this one. Shop around, like we always say, but grab it at BetMGM. Good dollar figure there at plus 120.
V is for value. Greg Zuerlein split the uprights a couple of times.
Number 2.
Numero dos here on the Fade at 5 countdown on this Monday. Let's get some more plus money on the board. 4 in a row. If you count the top of the show with the plus, that's 5 in a row on this SGP. And come with me, Lundy, if you dig it. It's all Jets all the time. And a couple of guys are going to kick in the turbo boosters. I believe Garrett Wilson has at least 50 or more receiving yards. And I say Breece Hall has at least 3 or more receptions. Just a 2-legger. We don't need to go full Calvin Ridley on it. Make it 7 legs. Make it very difficult to cash in. But on this simple 2-legger, again, Wilson 50 or more receiving yards, Hall 3 or more receptions, plus 114, available at DraftKings Sportsbook. Look at Garrett Wilson, a guy who's getting just a mammoth target share. Overall, he's averaging over 9 targets per game, and a guy as well is going to see Asante Samuel Jr. most often in coverage, who's allowed a 69.4% catch rate. He has been over 60 yards in 4 of his last 6 games, and all we need is 50, and I think he's going to get that being the primary weapon, and a guy that gets a lot of yak in this Jets offense, spearheaded, of course, by Zachary Wilson. And you look at Breece Hall, a guy that has gone over this repeatedly. I believe actually last 3 games. He's number 4 as well in yards per reception among running backs. And you look at the Chargers, they're giving up over 6 catches per game and over 54 receiving yards per game to the running back position. So defending the flat, not a strong suit for LAC. So to recap on this SGP, Garrett Wilson, 50 or more receiving yards, and Brees Hall, dance all days, 3 or more receptions, plus 114 at DraftKings. Lundy, fade or follow.
No reason to Calvin Ridley it. Make it easy. Plus 114. Try to be smart with your money, folks, especially if you lost yesterday. I did okay yesterday. But if you were on the losing end of some of the plays yesterday, if you're chasing, first of all, don't chase. But if you're in that mode of trying to win a little bit of it back, yeah, but do it in, but do it in steps. Do it in steps. That's all I'm saying. Like I missed out on a massive parlay last night because the game wound up, I took an alt total and then the over. Remember the frankly bullshit grounding call at the end of the half?
Yes.
That cost Cincinnati 3 points, or Buffalo 3 points. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you put those 3 points on the board and my parlay hits.
Oh, brutal.
So it's and look, Brad and I try to bring up these stories on the pod every now and then so that you guys understand that we're right there with you, right? That sometimes we take the shot right to the jewels. And you got to understand that happens to everybody. But I'm not turning around trying to chase another. And by the way, it was a plus 1,800 parlay that missed. But okay, fine. I missed it. Move on, shake the Etch-a-Sketch. So don't get crazy. I like what Brad did here. Nice and simple, plus 114. I think that's the message I'm trying to spew out of my mouth here this morning.
Yeah, you know what you need to do? Just do a swift kick to the midsection of the sports book and deflate some balls. Ride with us on this SGP.
Number 1.
Numero uno here on the Fade at 5 podcast. Minus money, first one on the board. It is my top play of the day between the Chargers and Jets, and it's on a prop you may not be remotely thinking about, and that's Justin Herbert. Give me the over on 8.5 rush yards, minus 120 juice there at BetMGM. A guy that's averaging 4.1 rush attempts per game, 11.7 rush yards per game. Herbert has achieved the over in 4 of his 7 contests this season. As I mentioned before, the Jets, number 1 in the NFL and pressure rate, applying that to rest, 29.5% of opponent dropbacks. So that could lead to some opportunistic runs and some scrambles. They're also number 1 in hurry percentage at 14% flat. 7 rushers have gone over this number against the Jets. They give it up 36.4 rush yards per game. Look, if Mac Jones can run for 13, if my former Fighting Illini guy, Tommy DeVito, hey, it's me, it's Tommy DeVito. Sorry, Giants fans. I could come off the bench and scramble for a dozen yards, which he did against his defense. I think Herbert over 4 quarters, fingers and toes crossed, he's going to make it through the entire game unscathed. I think he's got to rush for at least 10, and we're at 8.5 here, minus 120 juice at BetMGM. So my number 1 play on the board, a guy with hair I only fantasize about, Justin Herbert, on the over 8.5 rush yards, minus 120 at BetMGM. Lundy, fade or follow.
Brad, there's a laundry list of people that you admire their hair.
I need a wig.
I mean, no, don't be doing that. You'll start to look like, if you do that, you'll wind up looking like the grandpa on Christmas Vacation, sitting there smoking the cigar with that weird toupee thing on his head. That was on last night, by the way, and I'm already in the mood, so I'm watching. I sit down and just start laughing. Legit, it came up on the guide. All right, as I'm flipping through the channels, I started laughing before I even got to the channel. That's how funny that damn movie is.
Well, it is the gift that keeps on giving, Clark.
It is. Jelly of the Month Club. Follow on this one. I think he's up to 10, 12 maybe. I think you're safe with this one. That's the reason it's sitting at minus odds. I know you've been bragging about the plus odds for numbers 5 through 2, but go ahead and play the minus juice on this one. There's a reason that you're paying the minus 120.
Yeah, work those legs, Justin Herbert, and let's cruise to a cash on the over on rush yards. Let's cruise into some bonus time. Lundy, it could be on the hardwood, could be on the ice, which is always quite so nice for you. It could be on the NFL gridiron. What do you got for me on this Monday in November?
Well, we got a handful of places we could go, as you talked about. We've got some NBA action tonight. We've got college basketball, which you have been like removing your pants to discuss. We've got some NHL. We've, of course, got Monday Night Football as well. I'll have some more posted up. I told you there's 4 games in the NHL for this evening. So let me give you a couple of picks that I like here. Let's talk about the gift, right? We'll talk about the goal in the first 10. I'm going to give you the like I said, there's 4 games. There's 2 at 7 o'clock Eastern, and then there's an 8 o'clock and a 9 o'clock, I think, or an 8 o'clock and a 10 o'clock. Anyway, the first 2 games, Tampa and Toronto, as well as Columbus and Florida. Give me the gift, yes, in both of those games. Put that together with a yes on both of them as a 2-legger. You get to a plus 146. If you're new to the pod and we're playing these gifts, remember, when we're going yes, it's usually juiced up, anywhere between minus 140 and minus 180, depending upon the team. So that's why we tend to pair the 2 of them together. But if you're feeling a little bit fun this evening, take the yes on each of the first 2 games, Tampa, Toronto, plus Columbus and Florida. Then on the 2 later games, we're actually going to mix and match between Boston and Dallas. Give me the no on the goal in the first 10. That is a plus 110. And if you want to put those together with the late game on a yes, then you're paying a plus 226. So 2 different 2-leggers there. In the late games, Boston and Dallas, no. Edmonton, Vancouver, yes. And if you want to put those together, like I said, it is a plus 226. And if you're a sadistic son of a bitch, you can put all 4 of those that I just gave you together at DraftKings, and it's a plus 706. So if you're sitting on just like a free bet, like a $5, whatever, try putting that one together because I think you'll like it. I will have some more props. I'm trying to dive in. 2 of the teams in the NHL that give up the most shots to their opponent are playing each other this evening, and that's Tampa and Toronto. So I'm going to dive into some shots on goal props on that one. I'll post it up on the spreadsheet coming up for you a little bit later on. Brad already gave you some of the college basketball plays. Be careful, folks. That's all I'm going to say on some of these early ones that I've learned the hard way. Okay. So for example, KU preseason number 1, what is it? 31.5-point favorites at home.
Not touching it.
Exactly. So you sit back, you're like, wow, they're playing Little Sisters of the Poor. They're going to beat them by 45. Folks, this isn't Alabama football in week 2. Okay. College basketball, you got to be really, really careful with some of these non-conference ones that start off the season. So if you want to do some money line stuff like Brad was talking about with Oregon and USC, so if you're going to go in and grab, for example, Colorado State's playing tonight. Love them on the money line if you want. So go and do some things on money lines, but those spreads in these early non-conference games, that's the depth of knowledge in this thick Peyton Manning-sized noggin of mine provide to you on college basketball. I get really, really scared. Remember how I told you I want the no on Zach Wilson for an INT? That was my plus bus. Folks, over at Caesars, you can take Justin Herbert yes on an INT, Zach Wilson no on an INT, and that is a plus 3. It's a magic number. It's plus 333 over at Caesars. Say yes to Herbert and no to Zach Wilson on the pick. So if you want to correlate those together, that is really tasty. Also, an SGP for you for this evening. This is really simple. I built this one over at FanDuel. Give me the Jets plus 10.5. All right, plus 10.5. Take the total up to 49.5. Play the under. Then give me Keenan Allen and Garrett Wilson to each have 40 yards receiving. That's it. 40 for each of them. Jets plus 10.5. Game total all the way up to 49.5, and the under, that's plus 144 at FanDuel. Wow. 4-legger. And I would snag that one while you can, because I have a feeling you may lose that 40-yard threshold on a couple of those guys as we go through the day. We've seen that happen at the books before, where you can snag 20 yards, 25 yards, and then as we get closer to kickoff, all of a sudden that low threshold disappears and they've bumped it up for you. So try to take advantage of that one. Nice and simple. And I haven't even looked. I don't know. It's got to be on here somewhere. I can probably find it. All I know is Wemby's playing tonight. So where's his steals and blocks? And I'm taking the over. That's what on a minute. I could probably find it if I keep looking. Let's see. Steals plus blocks. Hold on a second here. Hold on a second. Wemby. Oh, Brad, they've got him up to 3.5 now.
Oh, wow.
Not touching it. Not touching it. If it was still sitting at 2.5, I'm all about it because that's practically automatic. He's usually good for 2 blocks. So then you just got to hope that he gets that giant wingspan going and he gets a couple of steals. It's at 3.5 on DK at plus 114. I'm not going to touch that one, but you know how much I love betting on that guy.
Yeah, no doubt. It's been a ton of fun just betting on a myriad categories besides steals plus blocks, whether on points, whether on 3-pointers made, which has often been at plus money, on rebounds, even on assists. You can SGP him. Oh, what do you got? What do you got?
Remember, I told you that he's got some turnover issues. He's got some turnover issues. Folks, 3.5 has been the number for him in terms of turnovers, plus 130 at DraftKings.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to make the bet while I yield the floor to the gentleman from Illinois.
Yeah, see, there you go. You can look at the turnovers market. You usually find some soft numbers in that category. I've been bet on LeBron turnovers repeatedly this year and cashing in on overs on that. All right, let's go to the Team Huevos Parlay play on this Monday Night Football. And on this multi-legger, leg numero uno, Justin Herbert, one or more passing touchdowns. Leg numero dos, Garrett Wilson at 60-plus receiving yards. Are going to take that up a little bit. Austin Eckler, 3 or more receptions. A leg numero trace, and then Breece Hall, not catches, but receiving yards of 15-plus. All 4 of those legs, uno, dos, tres, cuatro, plus 200 at BetMGM. To give a little bit of context here real quick, Herbert has done this in all 7 games, throwing at least a 4-8 touchdown, and the Jets have allowed a touchdown through the air in 6 of 7 contests, though they are number 13 EPA pass defense. Though you look at Herbert, he is way up there in red zone completion percentage, so I think he will find the end zone, hopefully to Donald Parham, and I cash in kind of double style on this. Garrett Wilson, 60 or more receiving yards. Again, he has done this in 4 of his last 6 games. He's getting 9.7 targets per game. He's going to see a lot of Asante Samuel Jr. coverage, as I've already stated, has allowed nearly a 70% catch rate. I think he will get there on volume alone. Leg numero trace, Austin Eckler, 3 or more catches. He has done this in 3 of 4 games, averaging 15.4 target percentage per game. And you look at the Jets, they're giving up 6.4 receptions per game to the running back position. Eckler will be a check down feature. He will grab at least 3 passes. And then Breece Hall, 50 or more receiving yards. He has done this in 3 straight games. He's number 4, as I mentioned, in yards per catch among running backs. The Chargers have allowed 8 guys to go over this number, giving up 54.9 receiving yards per game to the running back position. So to recap, Justin Herbert, 1 or more passing touchdowns. Garrett Wilson, 60 or more receiving yards. Austin Eckler, 3 or more catches. Breece Hall, 15 or more receiving yards, plus 200 at BetMGM. But wait! There's more! Again, college basketball is tipping tonight. I can't resist. Some of the alt lines are available out there. So on this 3-legger, all alt lines I built at DraftKings Sportsbook, give me the Princeton Tigers in a really kind of a big matchup for them, taking on Rutgers, being played on a neutral floor in Trenton, New Jersey. I'm going to take the line up to plus 10.5 for the Tigers in this one. Give me Missouri State. They are taking on West Virginia on the road. Really an entire school and program in turmoil right now due to the fallout from Bob Huggins this past summer. I'm going to take that line up to plus 11.5 and give me UMBC, the former NCAA tournament darlings, as the 16th seed that knocked off Virginia. I think they're going to be competitive against Louisville, a team mostly picked to finish dead last in their conference this season in the ACC. That's plus 15. All 3 of those hit, plus 142 at DraftKings. All about the alt line market this time of year, or the money line market, as Lundy mentioned as well. Playing the standard lines is a rare occurrence, though I'm going to have a play on that right now. It's the Fighting Jackrabbits of South Dakota State. They're at home there in Brookings, South Dakota, taking on the Akron Zips, and really kind of a mid-major mammoth matchup this early in the season. First game straight out of the gate. Both these teams are expected to win their conferences. According to most publications, South Dakota State members of the Summit League, Akron members of the MAC. Now, Akron's got a phenomenal front court, a lot of size. They got Ali back, who was a leading scorer for them a couple of years ago before he transferred and had a brief moment at Butler. He is returned to Akron and is going to be a key cog on this team. Again, it should be solid in rebounding, but their weakness is perimeter defense, and that is a major strength of the Fighting Jackrabbits because they got the best player on the floor, and a guy you need to know. His name is Zeke Mayo. And yeah, spread him on your sandwich. A guy that netted nearly 37% from distance last year. And he also hit 90.4% of his free throws. And he went to the line often because he's got dribble drives and plays unfazed. It's the same San Diego State team as you all know and love. They spread the floor. They score a ton of points. They don't play a whole lot of defense. They're at home. And according to Haslametrics, they have the 18th best home court advantage in college basketball over the last decade. And I only am laying 1.5. I would play this up to like 2.5. So South Dakota State, I believe, is going to win by at least 3 points. All I got to lay is at 1.5 right now at BetMGM. All right, back to college. We're not going to go back to college basketball. We're going to go back to the NFL. Give me on this SGP the Jets plus 7.5. So I'm kind of with Lundy and taking that line up. Except I'm going to take the total down to 33.5. And take the over on that. So, kind of middling here, depending upon who you go with. You got to take both of ours and cash in double time on that. The Jets, outstanding defensive team, number 8 in EPA per play defense overall. I think they're going to show up to a certain extent offensively because the Chargers are that atrocious in defense. Number 27 EPA per play defense. The Jets have gone over the 33.5 number in 5 of 7 games this season. The Chargers have done this in all 7 games. You put those two together, get Jets plus 7.5 and the over 33.5 plus 105 there at BetMGM. And one last play in this game, Breece Hall. I'll take the over on total yards. So rushing and receiving, that number at 78.5. It's a minus 115 juice. He has done this in 4 games. He's one of the league leaders in yards after contact per attempt. He's forced a missed tackle 26.8% of the time. And again, the Chargers cannot wrap up defensively. And I think I'm out of breath. I'm out of time. The last play I got for you in the NBA, Ivica Zubac gave me the over 1.5 blocks plus steals. You can get that at plus 130 against the Knicks. He's done it a couple times this year. It's going to be in blocks alone, in my opinion, as New York has allowed the 4th most opponent block shots per game this year. Woo! All right, college basketball underway. Monday Night Football, the NBA, the NHL. We got it all. It's a smorgasbord of sports betting action. And we gave you a number of picks. Do us a favor. Would you kindly give us a rating and a review? It helps us out tremendously. Also, fade or follow us on the X, where we're always trying to give it to you with our free and always accessible spreadsheets. I'll follow Lundy at Nate Lundy. All of my plays at Noisy Huevos. For the handsome and lovely Nathaniel Lundy, I'm Brad Evans. Until next time, as always, feed or follow. That is up to you. Go fighting jackrabbits!